Hello, my name is Andrew Thake from Mines and Money. Delighted to be joined today by Ali Haji, who is the CEO and director of Ion Energy. Delighted to have you with us today, Ali.
Lovely to be here, Andrew. Thank you for giving us the opportunity.
Ali, Ion Energy started out as an iron brine exploration company in Mongolia. What first attracted you to Mongolia?
Well, our chairman, Matthew Wood, went to Mongolia back in 2009, looking for gold during what happened to be a coal boom. So ultimately consolidated a number of coal assets and then exited to Bangkok, Thailand in about 18 months for $500 million in cash. I joined the group in 2016 when we went to Mongolia to help acquire a gold asset, ATO, from Centerra for Step Gold. And in 2016, when we looked at the geology of Mongolia, we found that it sat in an endorheic basin very similar to that of the Atacama or the Lithium Triangle. And so we visited with the University of Science and Technology in 2016. In 2017, we found that there were lithium occurrences in Mongolia, and Ion Energy was born. And I think ultimately, looking at where the vast majority of lithium comes from today, it's LATAM or Australia, yet it's shipped 15,000 nautical miles to China, who's the largest consumer. So what better position to be in than to be on the Chinese doorstep?
Mm-hmm. And can you just talk in a little bit of depth about your kind of key lithium projects in Mongolia?
Of course, we have two projects. One is Babayul. It's 81,000 hectares situated 23 kilometers from the Chinese border in Sukhmatar province. So it is very much the Gobi Desert. Historical work on that asset showed an average grade of 426 ppm, maximum grade of 811 ppm. We've since done some work on it and found grades of up to 1502 ppm, so almost double the historical average, which is rather exciting. But the market needs to recognize that we went public in August 2020, a time at which we could not send our lithium experts to Mongolia to help de-risk our projects. And so we did a very sort of scratch the surface type program to identify that high target that we've identified at 1502 ppm. But about 2 years ago, we bought a secondary license, and that's Urgaknaran. It's in Dorngovi province, a very infrastructure-rich province in Mongolia, situated about 7 kilometers from the electrical grid, 50 kilometers from rail link into China and the capital, and very much a closed basin environment with two fault bound, so double fault bound paleosalar. Looks very much like you would expect something to look like in, say, the Atacama, with salt flats on surface. That project, with 29,000 hectares, we set foot on it for the first time last year with our technical experts, and that's Don Haynes, who's an advisor to LRC, as well as Mark King, who was at Albemarle and the QP on file at Neolithium when it sold to Zijin for about $1 billion, call it 15, 16 months ago. And we collected a brine sample on surface that was 918 milligrams per liter. So, world-class, whichever way you slice it. We then moved on and did a TEM geophysical survey across the entire basin, almost 100 line kilometers. That gave us a volume indication of 22.7 billion cubic meters at 6.5 ohm, rather significant. We then did our diamond holes last year, and we found grades of up to 320 ppm across 100-meter intercepts on all three holes. And that number is relevant because if you look at Albemarle Silver Peak in Nevada, they were at 121, and it's the only operating brine asset in North America today. So we've now completed our 3 water wells on that project. We will continue to do the airlift testing and the pump testing, and we're looking to obtain some brine samples for assay over the course of the coming weeks, which ultimately brings us to inferred resource. So from completely greenfield in April last year to an inferred resource in about 16 months.
Mm-hmm. And of course, you've recently entered Canada and more specifically the Northwest Territories. Does this mean that Ion Energy are pivoting away from Mongolia?
No, that's sort of a misconception that we seem to hear a lot about, and I think that's not true at all. The ethos of the company was to situate our assets where they would require the ultimate raw material. So Mongolia was chosen because China consumes the vast majority of the world's lithium, and it's on their doorstep. And Canada has been chosen now because North America will require lithium. And we're seeing more and more interest. Of course, the province that we've selected, the Northwest Territories, is home to Lift Power, that has started drilling as of last week. It's also home to some of the PMET assets and now Gamma Lithium as well, which is a new entrant in that region as well.
Mm-hmm. And of course, the infrastructure there is world class.
Indeed.
So what's the next, say, 6 to 18 months look like for Ion Energy? What are the sort of key milestones that investors can expect to hear from?
For Urgak Naran, an inferred resource is imminent. So I think that's the major sort of catalyst that the market can expect. And it's relevant because today trading at about a $16 or $14 million market cap, depending on the day, relative to the volume that we've seen at Urgak Naran, the grades that we've seen there, without having somebody beside us, having that inferred resource that's 43101 certified, we'll clearly check that box for the market where they see it being de-risked and it ultimately moves to a higher valuation. We'll then move to get measured and indicated reserve resources announced on Urgak Naran as well. And that'll happen in around the fall of this year. And then the goal would be for us to start scoping before the end of the year and perhaps pre-feasibility if we get scoping done in time. But really bringing Urgak Naran to a state where it is prominent enough to be in the eyes of a strategic investor or strategic partner. We expect something of that nature to occur well before the end of the year when that inferred resource or measured and indicated has been released to market. And so it's an exciting time for Urgak Naran. Baba Yul next year will spend a fair bit of time further exploring that to begin with a TEM geophysics program to understand what's at depth, and then ultimately start to drill there to get a sense of just what that asset looks like. And in terms of the Northwest Territories, we've acquired high-res satellite imagery that we're currently reviewing. We've rolled up our sleeves to do our desktop due diligence. I'll probably be going out there in the next couple of weeks to have a chat with the local community and the local government officials to help define and devise a plan forward in terms of exploration. So we can start to see a fair bit of exploration data come from our Northwest Territories project as well.
You just mentioned local communities there. I know that ESG is very important to Ion Energy. Can you just give us a little bit of a sort of a flavor as to how you work with local communities?
Of course, Baba Yul is a very sort of it's very sparsely populated, if populated at all. So in that region, we've had to send some individuals to sort of educate the local community and the province as to what we were trying to do and what we were trying to achieve. We had meetings with them over 3 to 4 months before we even commenced any drilling or exploration work. And at Urgak Naran, in much the same fashion, we've had an individual that's situated within the community, educating the community, and we've also participated in social programs where we are sponsoring uniforms, for instance, for the local community and what they're doing with their education. With the Northwest Territories, a few days after we acquired the license, the Bliss Lake license, I was interviewed by Cabin Radio, which is a radio station out in Yellowknife. And the questions there were, what's your first step? And I said, well, the first step is for us to meet the local community, educate them and build that social license, because it's imperative that they recognize that, this is of value to everybody that is involved. We'll, of course, do things the correct way. And the goal would be, should we find something, to ensure that everybody is benefiting from the advancement of these assets. So yes, indeed, that is very important to us.
Mm-hmm. And who are your main shareholders?
In terms of shareholders today, management and insiders own 25% of the company. We've never sold a share. We've participated in every round and we buy on market as well. So, we feel our pain alongside our shareholders. We've got Mongolian families that are about 9% of the company. You've got some family offices in London and Zurich that own about 7% of the company. And then as far as the funds are concerned, you've got Delbrook Capital out of Vancouver, US Global, so that's Ralph Aldis and Frank Holmes. You've got Palos, you've got Broma of the Landin family, you've got Spartan Asset Management, Maxit Capital, and Alpha North Capital Management as well. So a good number of institutions that are part of our cap table. And we've also got a lot of institutional, or rather insider ownership as well.
Well, we just love it when we talk to mining companies that have a very strong investor base and also have skin in the game. We wish you all the best for 2023. That was Ali Haji, who's the CEO and Director of Ion Energy, brought to you by Mine to Money. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Andrew.
Resourcing tomorrow, accelerating the energy transition. 100 plus countries represented. And together with government representatives, mining and energy professionals, ESG experts, financial and professional services, industry associations, investors, and consultants, Resourcing Tomorrow will address critical mineral supply, the energy transition, environmental resilience, the circular economy, ESG, our future workforce, AI automation and machine learning, digitalization, mineral processing and plant optimization, exploration and development projects. Have your say in the future of our industry. Join us for Resourcing Tomorrow. from 28 to 30 November 2023. Register today